Are there any drummers in the house?
I play percussion.
That's because you couldn't play anything else.
Shut up.
Come here, dude.
Hey, man. Did you touch my drum set?
Nope.
It's just weird, because seems like someone definitely touched my drum set.
Yeah, that is weird. 'Cause I didn't touch them.
I am warning you right now, if you touch my drums, I will stab you in the neck with a knife.
Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads podcast. My name is Daniel, and this is episode 62 with Jessica Burdeaux. I said it right. If you listen to the beginning of this podcast, when we get into the interview, I butchered it. Even though I was like, "Hey, what's your last name?" Before we talked a little bit. I always talk to the guests for about 2 or 3 minutes, maybe a little longer, just to get in the conversation. Ask her last name, and she's like, "It's Burdeaux." I'm like, "Okay, I got that." Butchered it when I said it, so sorry about that, Jessica. But yes, this is episode 62 with Jessica. She is a very promising and up-and-coming young drummer from Chicago. She's good. She's a great drummer, and it was just a fun conversation we had. We talked about the covers she does, kind of her background. She's Greek. I am partly Greek as well, so we talked about some Greek things. So if you hear us talk about loukoumades, loukoumades is so good. It's like a Greek donut. They fry them. They're kind of like the munchkin size. So they're really tiny, and they put like this honey bourbon sugar sauce on it, and then they'll put like walnuts and cinnamon. Oh, it's so good. And I had just gone to the Greek festival here in Asheville just like the day before we recorded, and yeah, it was when I found out she's Greek, I'm like, oh yes, we get to talk about Greek things, so it was fun to talk about that. And then we talked about being a female drummer. Are there any hurdles anymore? And it's it's when I do these why I ask that question, 'cause I think it's very important that we have perspective on, is this getting better or is this getting worse in our culture? And it's great to say that in the drum culture, we are treating female drummers with more respect and more, like we don't treat them as, oh, you're just a girl drummer. You are a drummer. You're one of us. We're all the same. And it's important that we can, as men drummers, that we can admit that there are better female drummers out there. And if you can admit that, I think it's it's wonderful. You can get out of your head and just admit, hey, there's women drummers that are better than us. There's other drummers that are men, whatever. So we kind of talked about that. And then just talked about where she's going, what she's planning on doing, and stuff like that. So go check her out. She's on Instagram, always putting up great videos of her playing, doing covers. And so you can follow her at jbirdbeats. So that's JBURDS Beats. So if you don't know how to spell beats, BEATS. But yeah, you can go on Facebook, like her in there, YouTube and all that. And yeah, one day she's going to be big, guys. I'm just saying. One day she's going to be playing for like Paramore or something like that. I don't know. It'd be great to see her, get catapulted into like the bigger, like music scene and stuff like that. So just watch out. She's going to be big one day. And, when you watch her play, this is a Greek word that I always say is kafi. You have kafi, it's passion. And she's got a great passion for drumming. So here it is, episode 62 with Jessica Burdeaux. J-Bar Beats, do it! Yeah, so you're Greek. That's awesome.
Totally.
You're the first Greek that I've interviewed on the podcast, so that's always fun.
Oh man, I'm gonna go down in history now.
first Greek. Yeah, because we had the Greek festival here in Asheville just this past weekend, so it was fun.
Oh yeah, those are all like a Greek picnic type thing.
Yeah, it's at the church. They got the loukoumades, they got the spanakopita, they got all of that. So
the last one I went to, they were all out of loukoumades.
Oh really?
All out.
That is my favorite thing to have, and I try to make it at home, and it ends up a disaster. But it's one of my favorite things to look forward to is getting loukoumades. So
the best. I agree with you there.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start record. So I'm just going to give a little intro, and then we'll just jump into it. So,
great.
Record. Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads podcast, and I am joined by Jessica Burdeaux. I probably screwed it up.
I was thinking about Lucamitis, and my brain was like, she just told me what her name was. What is it again?
Burdeaux.
Okay. I always do that. So, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well.
The amount of times I've probably screwed up the intro to a podcast pronouncing the person's last name wrong is probably 100%. So I'm the worst. And I at least I admit it, because like I'm dyslexic, so I see names and I see things differently, so it just explodes in my head. And
That's okay.
And I get nervous. I'm like, I'm gonna say this wrong, and I'm like, I think I overthink it. And then we were talking about before we're both being Greek and Lucamitis. I'm like, oh, I really could go for Lucamitis. What's your last name again? Okay.
No, I get it. It's cool. It's cool.
So how are you? How are things going?
Things are going well. Life is good. So,
cool.
Yeah.
So maybe just tell the listeners just a little about yourself. So where you're from and how long you've been playing drums.
Yeah, sure. So I've been playing now for about 13 years, and I am from Chicagoland area.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, just really love the drums.
So what age were you when you started playing?
Yeah, so I am 24 now, and so I joined percussion in 5th grade, and I started playing the drum set in 7th grade.
Oh, okay. What kind of led into that? Was that you just saw the drums, you're like, ooh, I must play that, or other things?
Yeah, my parents bought my brother, like I have 2 older siblings, and
mm-hmm.
my parents bought my brother this little first act kind of drum set,
mm-hmm.
and I really took an interest in it. And then so when I got to 5th grade and had the choice to join school band, I knew I wanted to do percussion
mm-hmm.
right away. And when I got to junior high and had the choice to do jazz band, I decided to try and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And really from there, it was just something that stuck. I just was constantly wanting to play and get better. It just all the way from then. So
was there like when even before you started playing, were you kind of like when you were listening to music, were you like tapping along, trying to improvise like a drum set or anything like that, or kind of? Yeah,
because I think, when my parents bought my brother that little kit,
mm-hmm.
I was probably like 7 or something, and
okay.
and so we would always mess around with it and stuff, and I think that it was pretty early on that I knew that I was into like the rhythm section and,
mm-hmm.
and wanted to explore that. So
cool. Do any of your parents play musical instruments, or?
Actually, no, neither of my parents play, and I don't really come from a musical family. My parents never played, and my brother and sister, they just kind of did school band stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the only one that really wanted to pursue it and got super into the instrument I was playing.
Nice. Yeah, I'm the same way. Neither of my parents played. My mom dabbled with piano, but nothing major. But so did your parents play like music in the house, all the time, or always curious about that?
Yeah, I think my mom really likes to listen to music, and I think that maybe that had something to do with it too. But it was never really a very musical house. I think everyone likes music in
mm-hmm.
my family, but it wasn't like constantly playing and listening to different bands on the radio or anything while
mm-hmm.
we're at home. So
cool. So who was that first drummer that really like drew you in and like inspired you to be a drummer?
I'm definitely going to say Travis Barker on that. I've studied his parts inside and out. I think when I was in junior high, I don't think I listened to anything except it was like Blink-182,
mm-hmm.
Paramore, and I would just kind of rotate back and forth between Blink and Paramore albums.
Yeah.
And so Zach Farrow as well, the original drummer of
mm-hmm.
Paramore.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, both of those drummers and those bands as well, just had a tremendous influence on me now even. So
mm-hmm.
yeah, just heavy influence on my playing. And then yeah, so and then also once I got a little older and wanted to expand, because I got more serious about drumming, wanted to start listening to more music, I started going on YouTube and looking at different drummers there. And Jimmy Kadish,
Oh yeah.
Man, his drum solos, that's what blew me away about him, that he was able to just put up these amazing drum solos all the time. And so his videos definitely. And then more recently, I've listened to a lot of like metal, progressive metal, and so drummers like Matt Halpern and Matt Garska as well. Big influence.
Yeah, some people are embarrassed when they say Travis Barker. He is an incredible drummer. That he gets a lot of hate, and I'm not really sure why. Sometimes, he's fast and very flamboyant when he comes to his drumming, but he's also very technical. And, that gets lost on some people because they just see him up there just, ripping away. But they're like, it's just, he's overhyped. I'm like, no, he's hyped. He's at the right level of hypeness, I think, he's almost like the Buddy Rich of like our generation, who brought that kind of drumming to the mainstream. Because when I was growing up in the, I'm not much older than you, but, I'm 30, almost 33, so we're of the same, generation. But in the 90s, there was not a real big drummer presence until Travis Barker came in. And, like, he brought it to the forefront. So.
And I think, yeah, for sure, I agree with all of that. And I definitely think that one of the things that impresses me so much about his playing is that, pop punk, sometimes it's hard to really be creative writing drum parts for pop punk songs. And I think that he just nails it every time. I think he really finds different ways to play parts or write parts for these songs that I just think they're really creative and it's very impressive to me. So,
and I could tell that there's an influence of him in your playing as well, because you have a very Travis Barker setup. It's not massive, and you've learned to adapt different rhythm styles into a more compact kit. So,
oh well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Especially with like the rim clicks and stuff you do, very like thinking outside of the box. Like, I don't have to actually hit the drum head, I can actually hit the rim or something like that, which is, a lot of drummers struggle with that, which is pretty cool.
Cool. Well, thank you.
So, so you did high school band and all that. So, were you in like any kind of like garage bands or anything like that?
Sorry.
No, right.
I've played with a couple different bands, and it was really fun growing up and getting to jam with different people, and so I definitely have played with just a few different groups. So
okay, were they kind of like pop punk bands, or?
I played with one pretty bluesy, kind of almost southern rock type band, and then but another one I played with, we were all kind of really into the same alternative pop punk type music, and so that was more of a pop punk type band for sure.
So are you in a band currently, or are you kind of just doing more just focused on your Instagram and Facebook? You have a YouTube page, right, as well?
I do.
Yeah, so you're more focused on that right now, doing the drum covers.
For sure. Yeah, I've been focusing a lot on that. I'm not opposed to being in a band at all, but lately that's just kind of the direction that I've taken, just focusing on improving as a player and making these videos. And I think making those videos really, as like we were saying earlier, it forces me to think outside the box and try and be creative. But one thing I do love about being in a band is I get to write parts for song. I love that, just the process of writing drum parts. So, but equally with covers, you get to do that too, come up with your own kind of drum part and ideas for that. So that's why I really enjoy those things.
That's cool. Yeah, I was curious, because there's a lot of drummers out there, especially on Instagram and stuff like that, who are not in bands but do more of just like a solo page. It's focusing on covers but also techniques and stuff like that. And I think that's it's almost a smart marketing way, I guess you could look at it, of marketing yourself is it's hard to have people come out to you live, but when you're online, everybody sees you, and it's a more people just like that platform better, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing how you can just be in your basement like I am and have such a large audience. Every time you post, it's amazing. It gives you, social media gives you such a huge opportunity to get yourself out there. And yeah, it's really cool. I think it's an awesome platform to do that. So
yeah, because you've been featured on like the Vic Firth a couple times, I think maybe like 3 or 4, right? Yeah,
they've reposted me a handful of times, and that's really cool. And then accounts like the Drumheads Pod, and so it's really awesome. And that's another thing, the community on there. There's so many accounts that are just looking for videos they enjoy that they want to repost, and giving all these drummers and musicians exposure in that way. And it's really cool.
It's definitely a different day and age of being a drummer. I think these days you have to be smart about marketing yourself through online, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And there's a lot of drummers who that are really great, who kind of fall into the wayside because they haven't adopted that part of the drumming community. And it's good to see that you're like this is a thing, especially Instagram. Instagram blew up with the drummers. I've noticed. It's like,
yeah,
there's so many cool drummers out there. But when did you start making those videos?
Looking back, I think it was probably about 2 years ago. I graduated from college in February of 2014, and I think it was probably a little while after that. So yeah, it was probably around 2 years ago. And I think I saw once somebody had posted a clip, like a VF15 clip, and I realized that people were posting these drum videos, and so I figured I would give it a shot. And ever since then, I've just kind of gone with it, really. And that's another thing. I really was working hard to come up with these creative beats to put on Instagram, and I think it really pushed me further to start doing the covers and everything like that.
So when it comes to your covers, you just pick a song that you've been really digging, and like, I'm going to do a drum cover of it. Is that pretty much how it works?
Yeah, sometimes I try and find like a current song that I really enjoy, like "Don't Let Me Down," for example. That was one I heard, and immediately I wanted to cover it. And then aside from more current stuff, I really look to do songs that I've just always enjoyed. That's why, you've probably seen I've done covers of Paramore stuff and all sorts of bands that I just really like. So it really just depends. I try and just go with what I think I'm going to really have fun and be passionate about writing with. So
nice. So what's the process? Usually, you've kind of upgraded your equipment over time, right? When it comes to recording equipment, I hear you. I'm in the same boat. It's hard to find the equipment, if you're on a limited budget. So you just started off with just like, I guess, a cell phone, and then it kind of upgraded to other things. So how did all that come about? Because the sound quality has gotten a lot better.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I was using for a long time the front-facing camera of my cell phone, so that obviously was not delivering good video or audio quality. So I knew that I had to change it as I was getting more serious and posting more. And so now, though, I really still use a pretty basic and affordable setup. So I use a condenser mic in front of my kit, and then a kick mic, and then I just have a 2-input interface. And I use, for like the editing and everything, I use iMovie and GarageBand. So
I'm the same way. I don't have like Logic or Pro Tools or anything like that. I just use I have a one of those Zoom recorders, and I plug my mics into it, and then I just upload the video from my GoPro to the computer and just edit away. Which the editing is the hard part. The playing is very easy. The editing it's a little time consuming, and with jobs, and I have 3 kids, and it gets in the way sometimes. So it's a fun process for sure.
Totally. And yeah, the GoPro, I think, is probably one of the greatest things that's ever. I mean, it's so convenient and just makes filming and everything so easy. And then with GoPro Studio, it really helps.
Yeah, and it's so small. I've got mine right here. I just I was just goofing around this morning for the podcast. I'm like, I'm gonna just put up some videos maybe. And so yeah, it's so small and convenient, and it's just it's a different like I said, it's a different time. The GoPro is not that expensive. It costs some money, but it's definitely a good investment if you're a drummer, I think.
Yeah, well worth it. I agree.
Mm-hmm. So let's see, what else is that? So when it comes to your gear, what kind of drum set are you rocking right now?
Right now, I am playing a PDP X7 series kit.
Okay, nice.
And it has a Tama snare drum.
Oh, okay. Is it are the shells? What are they? Maple, birch? Can't remember what.
Yeah, these are maple.
Okay.
I believe those are maple.
And then, what kind of Tama snare drum do you have?
That's actually the Tama the Sound Lab project, a 13-inch. Yeah, 13-inch Sound Lab project snare.
Nice. It does have a good crack to it,
Yeah.
But then you also you've been using the big fat snare drum a lot lately too, which is, I love that thing. Those are so awesome.
Totally, yeah. I think it makes a huge difference. It completely transforms the snare. It's just, I really enjoy it because I use moon gels a lot on my other drums, so that's what I was using on my snare for a while. But once I tried out the big fat snare drum, I think it gives it such a great sound.
Oh yeah, it's it was such a simple concept. It's just a drum head essentially that you put over your other drum head, but I had Chris on, the guy that made it, and listening to him just like talking about how it was like he said, it was such a simple concept, and it was like one day it just clicked. It's like, oh, I need to make this, because he was cutting out old drum heads and putting them on his drums and like duct taping them on and stuff like that. But it does change the way you play. Like I can sit down, because at my snare drum I keep it pretty tight, and throwing the big fat snare drum on there, that's a tongue tire right there. It just like completely like opens up new ways of playing my drum, and it costs $20, I think, which is it's a good way to have like two snares without having two snares.
Yeah, it's an amazing idea for sure. It's just kind of one of those things. It's like, wow, it's not, because I've played other snare rings too before, but this one, it just the width of the actual product and stuff, the edges. I mean, I think it just is just the perfect amount of like muffling, and it still lets it pop like we talked about before. So it's great.
And so what cymbals are you? You kind of got a mix of cymbals, I've noticed, and I'm the same way. I've got a couple of Zildjian or a couple of Meinl. So what are you mostly got Meinl though, right? Yeah,
I have the Byzance Ride, and I'm looking this way. Sorry, I looked at my drum set.
I do the same thing. If usually I'm in my drum room / kids playroom, and I always look at it, so it's okay.
Yeah, naturally just started to point in that direction, as if you could see what I'm pointing at.
Yeah.
I have the Byzance 22-inch Ride, and then I also have the matching hats, and then I have right now I have a Zildjian K Crash, and also my China cymbal is a Paiste. So yeah, I just kind of have a mishmash of cymbals right now.
So are you kind of like a brand loyal person, or you just find a cymbal you like and you stick to it kind of person?
I think lately, as far as cymbals go, I've played a lot of awesome sounding cymbals, and so right now that's just kind of where I'm at. I really enjoy like Meinl, and I really enjoy Zildjian, and so I'm sure at some point I'll have a set of one brand of cymbals, but yeah, right now though I really enjoy just playing with these, and yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm so conflicted especially when I was younger. It's like I can't have anything that doesn't match. I was like obsessive compulsive over about that. But the older I get, I'm like, it's all right. You can have a Meinl and a Zildjian together. They're not going to fight each other. Don't worry. It's okay.
Right.
But what kind of heads are you into?
I use Evans, and right now I have the G2s on my kit, and I think they sound awesome. So I really enjoy Evans drum heads for sure.
Yeah, I'm a big Evans person as well. I was Remo for a long time when I was in high school, and then I got a Remo for my snare. I was tuning it up, popped the collar after like 2 turns. I'm like, what is this? I took it back to the place, put it on again, another 2 turns, popped the collar. I'm like, the guy's like, why don't you try an Evans? I'm like, I'll give it a try, and then loved them ever since. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
they're great. They really are.
And what kind of bass drum? The EMAD? You got EMAD on yours?
That's right.
You can't go wrong with the EMAD. It's so punchy.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say it's just got such a thump to it, and I love it. It's got this deep, awesome sound that I think that's one of my favorite bass heads I've ever used for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you're a Vic Firth stick person, right?
Yeah, I really love Vic sticks. I just think they have such a great feel, and I've tried several different models, and there are so many different ones that I enjoy. I think they have great weight to them, and so I've been playing those for a while now.
Is there a particular one you like, or?
I've been using the 8Ds for a long time, but I think I'm going to move up to something that's just like a little bit heavier, because the 8Ds are kind of light, but I think that sometimes I need to just dig in a little more, and so I'm probably going to move to like a 5A or something and see how that feels.
Yeah, it's the stick options for Vic Firth are amazing, especially because now, if I'm not mistaken, that Zildjian bought Vic Firth, so they added a lot of the concepts from the Zildjian sticks to the Vic Firth sticks, and I was never really a big Vic Firth person in the past, but lately I've been kind of impressed with their stuff they've been coming out lately. It's just a lot of options.
Yeah, for sure. There's a large variety there.
So let me bring up my notes again. They disappeared on me. So do you take you take drum lessons from someone, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, Earl Talbot. And taking lessons with him was such a turning point as far as in my my drumming journey or whatever you want to call it. I just he studied in like Cameroon, and he's the African rhythm method. So he was playing, when I first heard him play, he was just playing all these beats and rhythms that I had never heard. I couldn't wrap my head around them. And so studying with him and learning those has been the most beneficial. It's unreal how much it's made a difference in my playing and coordination. So
is he how did it come about you meeting him and taking lessons from him?
So we're both from the same area, and just a mutual friend of ours. He introduced us because he knew we were both drummers, and then I had a lesson with him, and it was great. And now I've been studying with him ever since. So
nice. How long has that been?
That is, I want to say that's probably right around 2 years as well. Probably around the same time I started making those videos.
Okay, well, that probably worked out well then, because you could adopt some of the lessons he teaches you and put them into your videos and stuff like that.
Absolutely, and I think that the mindset I was in once I started taking lessons with him, after I was out of school and really looking to take drumming super seriously, I was just ready to learn. And so just diving into such complex concepts and all of that, I just, I wasn't going to sleep until I could play those, the things he was teaching me. And, and it was just the timing and everything was, perfect for sure.
Yeah, that's great. And it's great that, because a lot of drummers are very stubborn, I am. So if taking lessons at, my age, I'd be pretty stubborn, but it's great to sound that you were very open-minded to allowing new concepts, from a drum teacher to embrace, because a lot of drummers have been like, I know everything, don't worry about it, kind of attitude. And you're like, no, I need more information. And that's great.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think that'll ever change either, because I think it's been said before by many drummers, I'm sure, but I really do think there's something to learn from every drummer you hear, you know, even if it's not a genre you listen to or whatever the case may be. I think that there's just so much to know. I'll never want to stop learning, you know. So it was the opportunity to study something that was so outside of the box for me, something that I had never heard or done before. It was I was happy to do that. I think it was awesome. And his teacher, Christian Bordeaux, and that's, you know, his methods passed on to Earl. And so getting to see just those methods, and I hope that I'm able to pass those on and work with other people and just keep it going. I think it's an amazing way to get better at the drums. So. Oh yeah, for sure. I totally agree. It's every day is a learning process as a drummer. You can be, you know, this podcast, especially for me, has opened my eyes to different types of drummers and type of music, all that kind of stuff. And so it's once you think you know everything, you're done. I think, you know, your attitude is not in the right perspective, I think. So I always want to ask this question when I have a female drummer. Do you feel that there are still roadblocks for female drummers when you go play a show or, you know, or anything, you know, when you put yourself out online? Do you feel there's some pushback from people who are, you know, still gender biased toward female drummers, or is that starting to become less and less as, you know, we get more tolerant, I guess you could say? You know, I feel like I've been really fortunate in a sense where I don't think I've really faced much of it myself. I mean, I'm sure it's still out there where people make assumptions about female drummers. But fortunately, I haven't really dealt with much, even like just on the internet, for example. I don't feel like I've really had anybody, you know, putting hateful, like, female drummer comments, you know, on my videos or anything.
Yeah.
So I've been really lucky in that way, where I feel like I haven't really had to deal with anything like that or face that. But yeah, I think that it's really coming along where it's not such it's not so strange to see a female drummer now, because especially because of the internet, because you see it's becoming more prominent. And so yeah, I think that hopefully anyone that does hold any type of bias or anything like that towards female drummers, I think that it's less now, at least, than it used to be. So
I think you know, because when I was in high school, we had two female drummers in our marching band, and they didn't get a lot of hate. You know, if we went to different schools, you know, be like, oh, you gotta, you know, I hate the word chick drummer, but that's what they would say back then. And I think, you know, that where I lived was, you know, very, you know, tolerant. You know, people were not so closed-minded. But I think we're getting to a better spot, and I'm always curious. You know, it's always best to go to the source of a female drummer and ask their point of view if it's getting better, or if it's, you know, I hadn't heard anybody say, you know, you're I think the fourth female drummer I've had on the podcast, and all four have said it's getting better, or if anything, it's non-existent anymore, which is great.
Yeah, I think it's really just becoming a lot more common, and or at least, you know, I hope so. I think it's really, you know, and also to be called, like, for someone to refer to a girl as like a chick drummer or something. I mean, I don't really take that in a negative way. You know, I'm proud to be a female drummer, but I really focus more on just being a drummer.
Being
you know,
a drummer, yeah.
Right. If that's what people see when they watch my videos, like a female drummer, you know, that's okay with me. Like, I work really hard, and as long as I'm comfortable with that and people thinking that way, you know, that's okay. I'm just going to do my own thing, and hopefully down the line they, you know, just start seeing drummers. So,
and I think a lot of, you know, men drummers and guy drummers, they feel they can't admit that there's a drummer that's female that's better than them, and that's a hard thing for some guys to admit to. I can. I'm like, I can admit it. Like, you'd blow me out of the, if we went to the drum contest at Guitar Center, you'd smoke me,
Oh.
So, it takes a lot of, I think once guys can just fully admit that there are drummers out there who happen to be female that are better than them, they'll get over that, I think. And I think that's the last hurdle, is just admitting it. There are guy drummers that are better than other guy drummers. So why wouldn't it be any different for a female drummer? So, yeah, and that's what I kind of pride this podcast on, is including voices from everybody. And I've made it a point to have more female drummers on, because I think once your voices get heard, I think the better it is in the future.
Sure, and I think people like Annika Nilles. I think she's one of the, when I think of female drummers that have just totally changed the way people see. If we're going to say female drummers, like, I think she's definitely. I mean, she's just good. No one can say she's only good for a girl or anything. She's flat out an awesome, really talented drummer, and so. She's not only a talented drummer, and she's a talented female drummer. I think that we could think of that term in a positive way too, because she's just good. So
yeah, she's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, cool. So what does the future kind of hold for you as a drummer? Are you wanting to, obviously you're wanting to continue with making your videos for Instagram, but are you wanting to, start teaching lessons, or what's the game plan, I guess?
Yeah, so I do teach some lessons now, but my ultimate goal is to be a touring drummer and a session drummer. I would absolutely love to have the opportunity to go on tour and perform, but also I want to start working more on. I'm getting more familiar with like the recording process and production, and I play a little bit of guitar and piano, and so I have some of my own songs and song ideas that I'd love to complete, and so that's another thing I've really been wanting to work on. But ultimately, I would just love to be a touring and performing drummer. So
yeah, you're like Paramore, new drummer. It's going to be me. Yeah.
I've seen them posting pictures with Zach Farrow, their original drummer. And I'm like, you know what? If it's not going to be me, at least it's Zach, the original guy. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
That's funny. Yeah. Because I remember you posted a picture, it was several months back, maybe, that you were in a recording studio. Was that you recording for a friend? What was that? What was the project you were working on, I guess?
So that was probably when I did a cover of an Alessia Cara song, and so and that's an awesome studio in Chicago that I'm gonna want to go back to for sure, and probably make more videos there. And in terms of what I was talking about with recording my own song ideas, I would love to go to a studio for something like that at some point. So that's probably what that post was from.
Oh, okay. I was curious what it was, because I'm like, wow, she's in like a big studio all of a sudden. This is incredible. Yeah. Did something happen and I didn't keep up with? Yeah.
Yeah, I just went right from the basement to the studio.
That's nice. So speaking of your basement, so is this where are you living with your parents still, or are you on your own?
Yeah, I'm at home right now, and it's awesome to have this space and to be able to play my drums here, and it's just, I really enjoy this practice space, and it's awesome. So
well, and you don't have to tear down your kit all the time, and you can leave stand with your GoPro and stuff up, and it's a nightmare trying to take your kit down and then try to reconfigure it to the way you like it, if you have to tear it down every night. So that's awesome. And are your parents pretty cool about you playing, or are they yelling down there, Jessica, stop, just stop, because I know my mom did. She would she had a breaking point, And it was, I would hear, Daniel, stop playing, and I'm like, got it.
No, actually, my mom especially, I swear I could play for 6 hours and she's just unfazed by it. She just does, she just goes about her day. It doesn't affect her at all. And both my parents, my whole family, actually, they're all very supportive and understand that I need to practice and make noise to do so. So they're all really cool about it. They've really encouraged me to be on this path, and so they get it.
That's cool. I remember when I was living with my parents and I had my kit set up in my room, and my grandmother lived right across from me in another house. There was maybe like 20 feet between us, and I would practice, during the day, and I'd stop for a little bit, and then, she'd come over and she'd say, "Why did you stop practicing?" I'm like, "Oh, I thought I was bothering you, Aya." And she'd be like, No. Keep playing. I love it. So, yeah.
I love that. We both have yayas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, she loved it. She always was, if I was playing and and I stopped, and she would wonder why, because I would always be in my room, be like, I bet you she's like, I'm driving her nuts right now. And then, she would come over and she'd be like, "You can keep playing." I'm like, "Okay, thank you."
Right. You get the green light.
Yeah. So do you, I guess to wrap this up, so what advice do you have for young drummers who are starting out, if they're starting on Instagram or just in general, just starting out as a drummer? What advice would you give them?
Oh, wow. I would say that just kind of getting out of your head and not thinking so much about, especially because it's so popular now to be posting videos in order to get exposure and things like that. Just don't think so much about, I think it's really easy to overanalyze what you're going to post and to stress yourself out.
Totally.
Trying, especially because you see all these amazing drummers and so maybe sometimes you're comparing your videos and whatnot. And so I'd say just do what makes you happy and everything. It's crazy the things that could happen if you just do your own thing and keep going and work hard. And I think that's what's most important for sure. So, and even if they don't plan on posting, just to be open to all sorts of music and genres and really put the time in and practice. And I think that amazing things can happen from there. So
for sure. Yeah. The overanalyzing for sure is I do that. And it's, I'm like, should I post this? I'm like, it's not that great. I'm afraid of getting negative feedback, but just letting it go and just letting it just happen is always the best. And if you do get negative feedback, move on from it. It's, don't let it bring you down. Let it motivate you, I guess, is the important thing to do.
Yeah. And I'd say along with that, it's just, I think people would be surprised how much positive feedback they get. I think everyone just kind of focuses on, maybe at least in the beginning, someone might think they're just going to get all sorts of negative feedback, and then they start posting and, realize that people actually love what they're doing. And it's very motivating to have people to share this stuff with. I know that one of the most exciting parts about, doing the social media stuff and, Instagram and Facebook and everything, I love coming up with beats and these covers and then just to have people to be excited about them myself, and then to have people to share with and to feel that excitement back. I mean, it's incredible. I think that it's possible for anybody. So my best advice is just to do your thing and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how the positivity, especially on Instagram, is such a, people, there's not a lot of haters, and I love that. It's a good platform to and also, with your, you would, when you're playing, you look like you're enjoying yourself. Like, you will see that occasional drummer who just look like, ugh, I'm just so over this kind of look. But you have this look of like, yeah, I'm playing drums, so it's always fun to see that come through when you're playing.
Cool. Well, thank you. Yeah. I do. I love it. I love the drums. I couldn't imagine life without music or the drums in general. And so I hope that comes through when I play, because I really, really do love it. And those videos are just, little chunks of my progress over time. And I think it's really cool to let people grow with you. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun watching people's progression, especially if you've been on following somebody for a long period of time. It's fun to see their progression as a drummer, or even if they're like someone who makes drums. That's fun to watch their progression as a craftsman. That's fun as well.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. I think it's hard to get in the mindset that it's okay for people to see progress. Like you're gonna get better. You're gonna get better over time, and it's okay. It doesn't mean that people aren't going to like what you're doing from the very beginning, and they're only going to like it more as you progress. So it's okay to grow, like I said, and let people experience that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well. And the other question I always like to ask is what other things you like to do besides playing drums? Do you have like any other hobbies, or is it just drums? Like some people are just like eat, sleep, and think drums all day long. Or do you have like, I love movies or cooking or...
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do think about the drums all day long.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
Always thinking about, what I'm going to do next and practice and all of that. But I also, I used to want to be a chef when I was like really young. And I think that now I've realized I just really love going to restaurants and trying new foods and just I watch a lot of diners, drive-ins, and dives.
It's a good show.
I think I'm definitely a foodie, but also I'm really interested in like history and science and space and all of that. So I love learning more about that. And then other than that, just pretty typical. I love hanging out with my friends and my family and just having fun, trying going new places and so.
Well, it's funny because I get the two answers of your answer is half of the drummers like I think drums all the time, but I do like doing these other things. The other half is nope, it's just drums, and I think it's important. Me personally, I think it's important to have something else to fall back on as like your relaxed hobby. Like I love movies, I love just watching movies and. Drumming, yes, relieves stress, but also watching movies really releases stress for me. So it's always important to have that little thing that you can call your own as well. So that's cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what plugs do you have? Where can people find you on the interwebs?
So you can find me on Instagram, jbirdsbeats. If you type in my name, Jessica Burdeaux, on Google, it probably pulls those links up. But my handles on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter are all jbirdsbeats, and then you could just type my full name on YouTube and find my videos there.
Nice. Yeah. Guys, go check them out. All the links. Like I said, all your videos are always so fun to watch. And it definitely motivates me to be a better drummer because I'm like, wow, Daniel, get it together, son. Get it together.
Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And it's really cool to hear that, that someone is watching these videos and thinking something like that. And it's just, there's so many motivating videos that I see and I love that my videos can do that for somebody else. And it's really incredible. So thank you.
Oh, no problem. Well, I really appreciate you taking time to be on the podcast. And I'm hoping to get up to Chicago sometime. So we could, I'm hoping to get up there for when is the Chicago drum festival, not festival, expo?
Oh, I think that might be in the spring.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I'll check that out. But yeah, if you're ever down here, bring the fam. We could all hit Greek Town or something.
Oh yeah, we'll find some good Greek food and
yeah. I know all the spots.
Yeah, I bet you do. Yeah, I bet you do. I know all the Greek spots here in Asheville. So it's oh gosh, Greek food is the best.
It really is. It really is. So.
All right. Well, Jessica, thank you for being on, and I'll definitely have you back on sometime and catch up with you maybe in 6 or 12 months, and see how your progression is going. Because I just had on Dave Collingwood, who's a cymbal maker.
Cool.
And we recorded a podcast about this time last year, and I just had him on this past Friday, and it was cool just to catch up and check on his progression. And I think it's fun to do that from time to time and see how people are. I like talking to people.
Absolutely. Yeah, me too. I would love to be back on at some point, and thanks for having me today. It's really cool to be on here. So thank you.
All right, cool. Well, let me hit stop real quick.
Okay.